The law offices of Ron Scholes presents Miller on Sports, the only sports show that keeps you glued to your seat. Everything else is just talk. Now, here's your host, Richard Miller.
Oh, it's another beautiful, wonderful day to be alive in the city of Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome on in. This is Miller on Sports right here on Talk Radio 600 WBOB. Always brought to you by the law offices of Ron Scholes, a law firm of military veterans fighting for you. Check them out at youhurtwefight.com. See if you can hang with the big dogs. Right now we bring in Steve Olenick. He is a sports and entertainment lawyer at Davis & Gilbert in New York City. He counsels current and retired professional athletes, coaches, and sports agencies when it comes to sports and entertainment. He's been featured on ESPN, Bloomberg, and Fox News. Steve, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Oh, great to be here.
And Steve, first off, I want to ask you, did you expect this lockout to continue as long as it has?
Yeah, actually, I'm a little surprised that they may come to an agreement just because, you know, when you come down to dollars and cents, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, money talks. And I think a lot of guys, you know, you start getting closer to the season, you realize that the checks aren't coming in. And, you know, a lot of guys that have saved, obviously they're prepared, but guys that haven't saved, they get a little antsy and they want an agreement in place.
Mm-hmm. Well, Steve, do you think it's wrong of the owners to set this deadline for Wednesday of next week before the NFLPA needs to recertify as a union and accept this newly proposed CBA?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a complete power play on the owner's side. I mean, they're just trying to get the players to actually, you know, make a decision. I think it's gonna take some time. I think it's gonna take, you know, in terms of like legal drafting, they're gonna be leafing through this. I mean, it could be upwards of 200 pages. I mean, depending on they started going into the owners, I guess, proposed a supplemental revenue proposal to the players so they're gonna have to go through that and kind of go through it with a fine-tooth comb and kind of either make proposed changes and then kind of negotiate back and forth. But I think it's just a power play in terms of what the owners are doing.
We're also joined right now by Derek Chambers, former Jacksonville Jaguars offensive tackle and former Florida Gator. Derek, thanks for joining us this afternoon as well.
Yes, thanks for having me on the show. Glad I could join you guys today, so really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And you guide gentlemen in finance and women as well, but I wanted to ask you, did you expect this lockout to go as long as it has also?
You know, initially when I started looking at the issues and being a part of the Players Association, I saw that there was a lot on the table that needed to be resolved. So after, you know, initially kind of getting familiar with those, I thought, you know, this could go the entire duration. And so the time that it's went thus far, I'm not too shocked at, but it's good that they're now getting close to finally resolving the situation.
And Derek, you've got to have friends still in the league that you talk to pretty occasionally. What are their thoughts on the lockout and what's going on between the owners and the players?
I think a lot of guys now are just really eager to get back on the field. I think guys, most of the guys I talk to are just, you know, they really want to worried about how the conditioning and, you know, new playbooks, things of that nature, and how that's going to affect the season. There was some talk about two-a-days, whether that would be a part of the CBA in the future. So there's a lot of things like that that's going on that I find that guys just want to get back to playing football, and I think the fans want that too.
And Steve, I wanted to ask you, because last night at about 7:02 p.m., we found out that the owners had voted on this newly proposed CBA 31-0. Oakland did not vote. But if I'm a player, that worries me. Why weren't the owners a little bit smarter in saying, hey, let's throw out 6 nays or 6 no's and make it look like it's closer and like we're giving the players a good deal?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, it's like anything. You know, collectively they go in as one. And I think that from the owner's standpoint, like I said before, I think it's a complete power play. They're going to say, look, we've kind of gone through the issues. We're proposing what we're proposing. Now it's in the player's position to say either A, work it out, or B, we're back where we started before. And, it's something where I personally think that if it doesn't get agreed upon in the next 2 or 3 days, we're going to have a real problem.
We're speaking with Steve Olenick. He's sports and entertainment lawyer at Davis and Gilbert in New York City. And also Derek Chambers on the line, former Jacksonville Jaguar offensive tackle and Florida Gator. And Derek, I wanted to ask you about that because you played in the league. You played for the Florida Gators just right down the road from us in Jacksonville. These two-a-days, did players get excited for two-a-days, or was it more of, oh, gosh, two-a-days, are you kidding me? Not again.
Yeah, that's a great question. I find it hard to believe any player gets excited for two-a-days, but it is a chance for, if you're a free agent or you're a rookie, there is a bit of excitement with it because it's a chance for you to make the team, to prove and show the coaches that they made a right decision by bringing you in camp. That's what my experience was. So there's a bit of excitement if you're new to the team and you really want to make your mark. I think most of the veterans and some of the guys who've been around the league for a while, sometimes two-a-days can be it can take effect on your body after a while. So there's mixed emotions about it, but it's 6 weeks. Intense. Coaches are pushing you to the limit, so it's always a very a time where you really put everything on the line and find out what you're made of. So.
Now, Steve, I want to get to you, and I know you're a sports and entertainment lawyer, and I know I won't hurt your feelings because you're a grown man, but early in July, we were hearing that both sides, they were negotiating without the lawyers, they were gaining so much ground, and how good that was. Was ground actually gained when the lawyers weren't involved?
Well, I mean, I think anytime you put, super type A individuals in a room, I think you start to look at, ego aside, you start looking at brain power versus brain power in terms who can negotiate the best. And I think with the lawyers, it's just kind of natural that you're given a set of facts and you're given the issues, and you've got to advocate for your client in the best possible way. So I think when you put a couple of those parties in a room, you're starting to look at, some very powerful people in a room where they're trying to negotiate the best possible deals for their client, and strategically, they're looking at this in terms of how can we win? Because when you've got owners that are very sophisticated individuals that have made millions, hundreds of millions, and sometimes billions of dollars, and they own the professional team, they're very smart and sophisticated, and they align themselves with some of the best. So I think a lot. And Derek, you can chime in on this. When you get players in the room and they want to play football, and so I could definitely see a lot more progress potentially being made. But I think when it's all said and done, you need people like the lawyers and the business people and the economists to almost forecast, what this is actually going to look at for all parties involved.
Yeah, Steve, you're exactly right. And like I said, the issue of concern is both sides. They want to, make things work, but the players initially, they want to get on the field. And you're exactly right. When you get a room full of the issues that go into the CBA, and then you get the personalities and the different team owners, different players, it really is a very, very packed room, figuratively speaking. But it's there's a lot of issues to be resolved, and again, I think every player, a guy says, "Hey, I just want to do my job. I don't want to deal as much with all the things that are going on. I just want to get on the field and get back to the game." So.
Well, Derek, real quick before we go to break, I want to ask you, because we no longer have the Hall of Fame game on August 7th. That's going to be canceled. Do you think we start to miss preseason games? Because preseason, $800 million a year just for preseason.
Yeah, and that's been talk about that, of how they're going to affect, how the preseason will be affected, rather, and what that's going to result. And I think I agree with Steve, the earlier comment he made earlier. If there's not something resolved soon, then it is going to affect the preseason, and it's going to affect guys being able to go into camp and even learn the playbooks if you got a new offensive coordinator coming in and trying to implement a new system. So yeah, the preseason is going to be affected, but they definitely need to figure something out pretty quick here.
Steve Olenick and Derek Chambers joining us right here on Miller on Sports. Steve, a sports and entertainment lawyer at Davis and Gilbert and the NYC, and Derek Chambers, former Jaguar and former, I guess always, Florida Gator. Gentlemen, thank you both, and y'all have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. That was fun. That was enjoyable. I hope you learned a lot. I know I did. It's all about learning, isn't it? If you learn something new each day, aren't you a better person? I think I am. At least that's what I tell myself when I wake up in the morning. Coming up, we've got the Florida News Network on deck. Former NBA player Tracy Murray. He'll join us soon.
Your new home for the best conservative talk radio in Jacksonville.
Talk Radio 600.
WBOB. Online 600WBOB.com.